Did you suffer from sepsis following a gallbladder surgery? And now you're wondering, is this automatically going to mean medical malpractice? Want to know what I'm getting at here? Stay with me as I share with you this very important information. Hello, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm a medical malpractice and childbirth injury attorney practicing law here in the state of Maryland, and I would like to quickly talk with you today about some really important information. And this information is going to deal with calls that we get from individuals who have suffered injuries following a gallbladder procedure. Now, before I get to the question, or before I talk about some of the key areas of analysis, I want to make sure that you understand that just because you have a bad result, that does not necessarily mean that medical malpractice took place here in the state of Maryland. See, to be successful with these types of cases, you have to prove that your treating doctor fell below the standard of care owed to you. And by falling below that standard of care, this is what caused your injury, the damages, or your harms. So you have to make sure that you kind of understand that concept, because if you step back and you think about it, when we're talking about a standard of care, you can have a situation in which the doctors do everything right. They do not fall below the standard of care, and you have an injury or you have something bad happen. So you've got to understand that. Now, to prove this issue with the standard of care, what you're going to need is you will need other medical experts to take a look at the records, to look at the facts of the case, to see what happened. And then they will give an opinion after doing a thorough review. They will give an opinion as to whether or not the treating doctor did fall below the standard of care. And you can have other experts that will testify as to whether that departure from the standard is what caused your damages or your injury. Now, I want to put this into context when we are talking about gallbladder cases, or when you have an injury following a gallbladder procedure. One of the main things of analysis is going to be, what did the doctor do when the doctor performed the procedure? So in some instances, what we can have is you will have a doctor that will go ahead, laparoscopically go and remove the gallbladder. And what can happen is that the doctor, what they will do is they will cut the common bile duct. They will nick it or they will cut it. And what your attorney is going to be looking at is, when the doctor cut that common bile duct, what did they do? Did they notice the cut and they tried to repair it? Or did they just cut it and they did not notice it, they did not repair it, and they closed the patient up? When we get into the medical records and everything, the doctors note that there were no complications, everything looked good, and they sent the patient on their way. So your attorneys are going to be looking to see, did that doctor, when they went in and they cut that common bile duct, did they notice the cut? And then if they did notice the cut, did they repair it? Or was it a situation in which they cut it, they did not notice it, they did not repair it, they sent the patient on their way, and then as time went on, what happened is that the patient began to have leakage out of that cut, and then that leakage begins to build up into the abdominal cavity, and then there we go with your sepsis. Then you have that sepsis issue. Then in some instances you will have patients, they will need to have a Roux-en-Y done. So when we're talking about sepsis, or we're talking about an injury following a gallbladder procedure, it is very crucial that your attorney takes a look at all of the records, takes a look at, talk to you, take a look at what the doctors have in their operative notes and other places in the medical records, and to do a thorough analysis as to whether there was a departure. Remember, whether there was a departure from that standard of care, and whether that departure is what caused the damages or your harm. So why have I taken the time today to talk with you about this really important information? Because more than likely, if you are watching this video, you have suffered an injury following a gallbladder procedure, and you have questions. You're wondering, is this automatically going to be medical malpractice, or is this a situation in which there needs to be further investigation? I'm trying to give you insight into the areas in which an attorney, when we're looking at these cases, what we're going to be looking at. Was there a repair done? If there was no repair, Was the patient closed up, sent on their way? Is there a sepsis issue? Are there other long-term injuries that the patient is dealing with? All of these things, I'm trying to give you an understanding of some of the areas in which an attorney is going to look at when we are talking about analyzing a gallbladder case here in the state of Maryland. So if you have more questions about your injury, if you're looking at the video and you're like, you know what, I want to talk with Mr. Boston a little bit more, this is what I invite you to do. And taking this next action costs you absolutely nothing. And what is that action? To pick up the phone and give me a call. I can be reached at 301-850-4832, or if you prefer, remember, you can send me an email to medicalinjury@bostonlawllc.com. I answer Maryland medical malpractice and childbirth injury and wrongful death questions just like yours all the time. And I'll be happy to take some time and listen to your story. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the medical malpractice and childbirth injury attorneys practicing law here at Boston Law Group, LLC, in the state of Maryland. And we will see you next time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.